answers, but I have one more for the entire panel, and anybody chime in. And actually, Jane, it's based off of our conversation because we share a mutual love of The Little Princess. And we talked about how, you know, you were upset, and I'll let you explain more, but we talked about breaking down that barrier. And for any of you on the panel, you know, the stereotype still exists. I mean, it's come a long way, but the stereotype that sci-fi is a boys' club and girls aren't interested, at least in the mass, not necessarily here at the conventions, but the stereotype is still there. So what do you do? How do we break down the barrier to, you know, just combat that? We just want equal treatment.
Just the story about what I saw in the store.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the book The Little Princess, and I know it was one of Joss's favorite books too when he was a kid. And a few years back, I saw it for sale in a bookstore, and it had been shrink wrapped with a necklace packaged inside. Like, buy this book and you get this curly girly necklace. And in fact, you couldn't even pick up the book and flip through it because it was all sealed around to keep people from like stealing the necklace. But it was such a clear signal of boys not allowed here. And it struck me as like, this does not help girls. This was, I think, probably a well-intentioned attempt to market to women, but in fact it was just saying, boys not allowed. And I don't think that helps anyone. And it would be fun to see, like you were saying, that the guys are not jealous of these designs. Maybe you put out a guy's line of them or something that sort of feel like, yeah, we are about allowing the female fans in, but nobody should be about excluding anybody.
No, and that's the biggest thing I've said. You know, we're not trying to say that sci-fi is just for girls. It's for everyone. So I guess the question is, what are you doing? Well, you're already doing, you know, what you do every day, but is there anything you think we can do more to break down that barrier and change that stereotype?
If you want to talk about comics with that question, it's, you know, there are a lot of people that ask me, yeah, the barrier's kind of down with the internet and showing your work in self-publishing, but yes, I want to work for the big three. I want to work for Dark Horse. I want to work for DC. I want to work for Marvel, and it can be an old boys club. That is true in some cases, and in that case, you need to prove it to them through your work. You know, you need to show them how badass and talented you are, and just walk right up there, slap down your artwork, and say, this is how good I am. Because it doesn't matter if you're a guy, if you're a girl, if your work is amazing, it speaks for itself, and you'll get hired. I mean, you know, there is no line to that. No editor is going to be like, your work is amazing, but I'm going to give it to this guy.
Yeah. It was a funny thing with the in comics related with the Batwoman book. I had talked to a friend who was at the time was an editor at DC. This was about 2 years ago, and they were just then really developing it into what it was going to be. And I had heard rumors. I would talk to my friends about it and my peers about it, and a lot of the writers, they were saying that a lot of writers were like, I don't want to write that book. Now I don't know if it's because it was a female character or if it happened to be a female lesbian character, but they were just like, I don't know how to write that. And I'm like, it's Batman. Change the pronoun. I mean, really, it's basically the same character. Dark, brooding, you know, it's the same thing. And I just didn't understand why that was so difficult.
Yeah, there's a trick you can do to write good female characters, which is actually write a male character and change the gender. It's just we've all been trained to write these women who have so few characteristics, and we write really fully dimensional men. And you can trick yourself into being a better writer by learning how you are defeating yourself. Going, okay, I'm going to write this character, change the gender. Now I can see what a fully realized female looks like.
I think it also depends on the fans. I mean, if you want female characters and strong female characters, say it and demand it. Supply and demand. I mean, Buffy's a perfect example of that. I mean, that's something that, you know, it didn't say it was just for girls or just for guys, but everybody came to it. Everyone loved it. And it was same with Angel. I mean, pretty much everything Jane's done is awesome. So, and Sci-Fi Network is putting out some great stuff too. Like Warehouse 13 is a perfect example of that. There's action, there's adventure, there's smart-ass comments. Eddie talked about eating pie all the time. Really, there's stuff for everyone. So, but yeah, I mean, the thing too is that's your responsibility as fans. If you want this stuff, demand it. And it'll happen because these franchises want to make money and they want to make successful franchises, and they can't do that with any of you. I mean, if they didn't have you guys, we wouldn't be here talking about it right now. So, and that's something that, you know, when you're creating stuff yourself, know that just do the best work you can do, whether you're a guy or a girl. And if it's awesome, then it's going to happen. And if Hollywood ignores it, then you take a page out of the Felicia Day book and you do it yourself. And then in a couple of years, you're filling up a huge room talking about how awesome it is to have Will Wheaton guest star on your show. So, I mean, it's seriously, if you want to do it, and don't let anyone say you're a girl, you can't do this, or, you know, or you're a guy, you can't do this. Doesn't matter, just do it, and it will happen, but you have to, you know, keep at it and not let people get to you.
Being proud of what you like. I know when I was a kid, I loved Wrinkle in Time and trauma movies, and I was weird for it. And now I think what's great about like coming to Comic-Con and seeing these little girls who own it and they're proud of it. And I think that really makes a difference in bringing up the next generation. That it's not something that you feel weird telling your friends. It's something that everybody likes together. I think that's great.
Absolutely.